What's up, everyone? Antonio Fletcher back with you again. In this video, I'm going to be taking apart Jaclyn Glenn's latest video on the Orlando shooting. If you want to skip through this video because it's going to go on a few minutes, to start, then you can go ahead and skip ahead at your leisure. But yeah, with that said, let's get into this video now.
Hey guys, so I know I've been kind of quiet lately on my channel, and a lot of people have been wondering why I haven't talked about the shootings and different things that have been happening, and I just couldn't. This week has been really hard, and I've been really just kind of depressed about everything that's happened. And both tragedies that happened, both Christina Grimmie and the Orlando shooting, hit pretty close to home with me. I didn't know Christina personally, but she is in this YouTube community that overall is pretty small, and everyone at least knows somebody who knew her personally, and you see the hurt in them and the hurt in her family. And it's scary to think that anyone at any point in time is in danger of having, someone who watches them just show up and kill you. Like, you don't know what's going to ever happen, and it's terrifying, honestly. And it's just been, that whole thing was really painful to watch. And the Orlando shooting, too, I grew up in Tampa, which is an hour drive from Orlando about, and every year I go to Orlando for Playlist Live. It's a YouTube convention that people have there, and I also have a lot of friends in the LGBTQ community, and I actually know a lot of people who were freaking out in Tampa because they would frequently go to Pulse, and they were in shock. They knew people who had been killed, and it could have been them. And it's just really scary, and it makes you appreciate life, I guess. It makes you think about every day. You don't know if it could be your last. You don't know if that person that you love could not be there the next day. And it's just been really hard for me because both of these things happened so close to where I grew up and where I lived my whole life, and hurt people that are close to me. And it's just been a hard week, and I haven't been able to bring myself to make a video. And part of that is because people are just attacking each other over this, and although a lot of people have been unified in a sense, it is also dividing. A lot of people have been sending me videos of different people in religious communities who are saying that this is a good thing. It's really hurtful for me to watch. A lot of times I watch these things and I go into my rant mode and I rip them apart and I talk about why they're horrible and why they're wrong. I just couldn't. And I don't want to ignore this though, because it is a problem and there are things that I want to say about it that I haven't had the strength yet to say, but I will. So I'm gonna play a couple of these videos. Unfortunately, there's more than one. I'm not surprised. I see people who are bigoted, who are, using religion as an excuse to promote their crazy ideologies. I'm at a point now where I'm just like, yep, another one.
A Sacramento Baptist preacher issued extreme and troubling comments in a videotaped sermon, actually praising the Orlando club attacks.
Hey, are you sad that 50 pedophiles were killed today? No, I think that's great. I think that helps society. I think Orlando, Florida is a little safer tonight.
His inflammatory video was uploaded to YouTube under the Verity Baptist Church account.
50 vile, perverted predators. As far as I'm concerned, Orlando's just a little safer tonight.
Hey everybody, Pastor Steven Anderson here from Faithful Word Baptist Church in Tempe, Arizona. There's 50 sodomites, homosexuals that have been killed. The good news is that there's 50 less pedophiles in this world because, these homosexuals are a bunch of disgusting perverts and pedophiles. That's who was a victim here, are a bunch of just disgusting homosexuals at a gay bar, okay? The bad news is that a lot of the homos in the bar are still alive, so they're going to continue to molest children and recruit people into their filthy homosexual lifestyle. At least these dangerous predators, these dangerous filthy pedophiles at this gay bar, at least they're off the streets, So I'm just trying to look on the bright side.
Yeah, they feel that homosexuals are in some way pedophiles. I don't understand how that connection's even made. I really don't. If you want to worry about a certain demographic being a pedophile, then I would worry about Catholic priests, but you don't hear them saying that.
Now, to start, I will actually agree with what Jaclyn has said here about the Catholic priests, since there is a consistent line of evidence that there are Catholic priests who have molested young children. And I actually did a thorough video denouncing the first guy in the video. He goes by the name of Jimenez. As far as the second guy, I forgot to do a video on him, but everything I said about Jimenez applies to that guy as well.
And as far as seeing them as some kind of danger, why? They were the ones that were just killed. There has not been another mass shooting this big. 50 people. That's insane.
And that's another problem right there. Failing to point this incident out as a terrorist attack and only pointing to it as a mass shooting. One of your favorite liberal sources at Think Progress certainly had no problem referring to the Planned Parenthood shooter Robert Deere as a Christian terrorist, and far less people were injured and killed in that attack. But when a lot more people were killed by an Islamic Muslim, it's only a mass shooting. So let me get this straight. When a far small number of people are killed by a Christian, it's terrorism according to liberals. But when a far bigger number are killed by an Islamic Muslim, it's only a mass shooting by many of the same people. It's also interesting that you fail to point out the hypocrisy of your fellow liberals for failing to refer to this attack from this Islamic Muslim as terrorism, and nowhere in this video do you refer to the Orlando attack as terrorism. Just pathetic and sad, Jaclyn. Did you forget what you said last November, that you referred to people who call for such horrific actions to be done as terrorism, whether Christian extremists or Muslim extremists? Let's take a clip from that video of yours.
And this one's really bad. ISIS would be a justifiable end for these baby killers. Please go to Syria and leave these babies to live a free life in America. Hashtag PP shooting. I don't understand why certain words here are capitalized. It's very difficult to read through it whenever the grammar is just off, there's no punctuation. But anyways, so we're saying that ISIS would be a justifiable end for these, quote, baby killers. So you're pretty much saying people who work at Planned Parenthood deserve to die, and that is because of your belief that abortion is wrong, which most likely stems from your religious beliefs. So you're saying that killing people because they don't go along with your religious beliefs is justifiable, and that you should send them to a horrible death. For example, ISIS, because they're the enemy, right? Because they're those crazy people out there that, kill for their religious beliefs. I don't know, but to me that sounds pretty hypocritical, because what you're calling for is terrorism. I don't care if you're a Christian extremist or you're a Muslim extremist. Terrorism is terrorism. Killing in the name of faith or a belief system because somebody doesn't agree with you, that is terrorism. So recommending ISIS is kind of funny.
You know what else is funny, Jaclyn? That your hatred of Christianity runs so deep that you'll use any opportunity to attack Christianity and run it into the ground. While you did mention Muslim extremists once in your video about the Planned Parenthood shooting, the majority of your video was attacking the religious right, which is just another phrase liberals like you use for Christians. But even looking from the perspective of your position, I can understand why most of your video here was centered upon Christians, because a guy who claimed to be a Christian did the attack, and along with the tweets you pointed out, allegedly from religious right Christians as well. But what I do not understand is why, when the attack in Orlando was done by an Islamic Muslim, you still used most of the video to attack Christians and didn't even bother to point out the tweets by those who align themselves with Islam celebrating the attack in Orlando.
Do I need to talk to you about how 52% of Muslims in the UK think homosexuality should be criminalised? About how Turkish media called the Pulse nightclub victims perverts? About how Al Jazeera viewers lauded the massacre? About how Muslims on Twitter celebrated the slaughter? LGBT community, the regressive left, does not have your back.
Just goes to show that you, Jaclyn, would use any opportunity to attack and center your focus on Christians because of your clear anti-Christian bias and bigotry. Now, I don't doubt, Jaclyn, that you have the backs of the LGBT community, but I do doubt that you're equal and fair in your assessment of calling out hatred, as it seems you hate Christianity the most. Now, since people like Edgy Spinks have torn your flawed video to shreds, I'm just going to deal with one last point of yours. If y'all want to see Edgy's video refuting her, the link is in the description. With that said, let's deal with the last point.
And of course, Islam is a wicked religion. Of course, it's a disgusting religion. Of course, the Quran is false. In Leviticus 20:13, God's perfect law, he put the death penalty on murder, and he also put the death penalty on homosexuality. That's what the Bible says, plain and simple.
And that is one thing that I do want to point out. A lot of people try to say that you're not a real Christian if you think the way that this guy thinks. And I don't want to use this video to put any more hate out into the world or negativity, but I do encourage everyone out there who is a Christian or who is a religious person to any degree to think about that for a second, because it is in the Bible. It is. You can't cherry pick the good things and ignore all of the bad things. And I am really happy and grateful that you do not follow those rules in the Bible. That I'm glad that you do ignore those things, don't get me wrong. But do take a second to think about the fact that you have to ignore something that terrible in the Bible. It clearly says that homosexuals should be put to death. So as much as I understand the intention by people saying #pray for Orlando, and they use praying anytime a tragedy happens, I understand the intention behind these things is pure and good, and they just want to like bring awareness to it and let everyone know that they're thinking about it. And I say that all the time too, like my thoughts are with, the family. There's nothing wrong with that, but just realize that it would be far better if you showed up and donated blood, or if you gave money, or you actually physically did something to help these people. But it does kind of irk me a little bit, because I can't not think about what the Bible actually says. We're praying for these people, but this is what the Bible says to do. I mean, it says that it's a good thing. And I can't ignore that.
You want to know what I can't ignore, Jaclyn? I can't ignore that atheists like you continue to ignore the fact that killing gay people was an Old Testament law, and Jesus fulfilled the law so we won't have to follow that law any longer. You have the nerve to criticize Christians when you ignore that vital detail and build your entire case off a false premise. Again, it's nothing short of pathetic. I could go on forever about addressing your ridiculous nonsense, Jaclyn, but it's obvious to honest thinking people why your video was wrong on so many levels, and I'd be going on for hours addressing the garbage that you spewed. To my viewers, thanks for watching, comment, and subscribe.